The world was changing, but most people didn't notice. Earth was still full of the usual problems: pollution, wars, and poverty. People lived their lives, going to work, raising families, and dealing with their everyday challenges. But deep under the Earth's surface, something amazing was waiting to be discovered. In a small town, far from the busy cities, a group of scientists had been working on a mining project. They were digging for a rare mineral they believed could help solve Earth's energy crisis. The project was boring, and many of the workers had been doing the same thing for years. But one day, something strange happened. Dr. Emily Carter, one of the lead scientists, was in charge of the excavation. She had been with the project from the start and had always believed it was just another routine job. But that day, as her team drilled deeper into the ground, the machines suddenly stopped. The earth trembled, and a loud grinding noise echoed through the site. "Something's wrong," Emily said, her voice filled with confusion. The workers checked their equipment, but everything seemed to be functioning fine. Yet the drilling equipment wouldn't move. The ground had shifted somehow, as if something had just woken up beneath them. "We need to go deeper," Emily decided. Her curiosity piqued. "Maybe there's something blocking the drill." The team agreed, and they dug further. After several more hours, the drill finally broke through a thick layer of rock. But instead of continuing down into the earth, it hit something solid and smooth, like metal. Everyone gathered around, their eyes wide with surprise. The metal surface they had uncovered was unlike anything they had ever seen before. It was perfectly smooth, with strange markings on it, symbols that no one recognized. "Is this some kind of spaceship?" one of the workers asked, his voice trembling with excitement. Emily didn't answer right away. She was too stunned. She had seen many things in her career, but this was something entirely different. It didn't belong to Earth. It was too advanced, too well built. The markings were not from any language she knew. She called in a team of experts, including archaeologists and engineers. They spent the next few days carefully investigating the object. They discovered that it was a kind of device, though no one could figure out what it did. There were no buttons, no levers, nothing that seemed to explain how it worked. But there was one thing they all noticed. On the side of the metal, there was a small glowing spot, as if something inside the device was still alive. After days of studying the object, the scientists made a risky decision. They tried to open the device. They had no idea what they were dealing with, but their curiosity got the best of them. They used cutting-edge tools to carefully pry open the mysterious object, and as they did, the metal panel shifted. A soft hum filled the air, and a blue light began to glow brighter inside. The team stepped back, unsure of what would happen next. Emily's heart raced as she looked at the object. She didn't know it yet, but they had just uncovered a technology far beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. Slowly, the device began to activate. The symbols on its surface glowed with an eerie light, and the humming sound grew louder. The room grew colder, and a strange energy filled the air. Without warning, a bolt of bright energy shot from the device and struck one of the nearby workers, a young man named John. For a moment, everything went silent. The team watched in horror as John fell to the ground. Emily rushed to his side, terrified that they had just made a horrible mistake. But when she reached him, she was shocked to see that he was standing up, as if nothing had happened. His eyes were wide with confusion, but he looked unharmed. What happened?" John asked, his voice shaking. Emily looked at him carefully. There was something different about him. He seemed stronger, more alert. His muscles were visibly more defined, and his mind seemed sharper. It was as if the energy from the device had given him new abilities. "What did you feel?" Emily asked, trying to keep calm. John thought for a moment. "It was like my whole body was electrified. My head. It's clearer than ever. I feel like I can do anything." The team was stunned. They had no idea what kind of power they had just unleashed. But one thing was clear. Whatever was inside that device had changed John. and they couldn't ignore the possibilities. Emily's mind raced with excitement. If the device could do this for one person, what could it do for humanity? The answer came quickly. The scientists realized that they had found something extraordinary. The device was not just a relic. It was a treasure trove of knowledge and technology, hidden away by an alien civilization long gone. And now, it was in their hands. Earth had just stumbled upon a power that could change everything. But with this discovery, Earth's future was no longer the same. The secret was out, and the rest of the world would soon know. The question wasn't if humanity could use this power, it was whether they could control it. The device had awakened something, and that something was about to set the stage for a war that would change the galaxy forever. The discovery of the alien device was just the beginning. The small team of scientists had uncovered something that would change the world forever, but they had no idea how far-reaching its effects would be. As news of the device spread, the world's governments took notice. Everyone wanted to know how it worked, and more importantly, what it could do for humanity. Emily Carter, the lead scientist, quickly became the face of the discovery. She had always been dedicated to her work, but now she found herself thrust into the spotlight. Reporters, politicians, and scientists from all over the world came to her, eager to learn more. But Emily kept her focus. She knew that the device held power beyond anyone's imagination, and she was determined to unlock its secrets. The first breakthrough came when Emily and her team figured out how to activate the device safely. The strange energy that had zapped John, the worker who had first come into contact with the device, could be controlled. Once the device was fully activated, its true power began to show. The team tested the device on a few volunteers, just like they had with John. Each person who used the device reported a strange but incredible change. They felt stronger, faster, and more aware. They could lift objects with ease, run faster than any human had before, and think more clearly than ever. It was as if their bodies and minds were being upgraded in ways that seemed impossible. At first, it was just small improvements, but over time, the changes grew more dramatic. Emily watched in awe as the people around her became more powerful with each passing day. The world's top athletes began to report strange improvements in their abilities. Runners could break world records, weightlifters lifted heavier than ever before, and even chess champions became smarter. The difference wasn't just physical, it was mental too. People could think faster, learn quicker, and make decisions with perfect clarity. But it wasn't just individuals who were getting stronger. Nations around the world began to experiment with the device, and soon, entire armies began using it. Soldiers became nearly unstoppable. Their reflexes were so quick that they could dodge bullets. Their strength was unmatched, and they could endure pain and exhaustion far beyond normal human limits. The power of the device was making every human who used it into something more than just a person. They were becoming superhumans. Emily's team had always been careful with how they used the device, but even they couldn't deny the obvious truth. This was the future of humanity. With this kind of power, humans could do anything. They could change the world, create a society without war, and protect Earth from any threat. But not everyone saw it that way. Governments, once hesitant about the device, now began to use it for their own agendas. Some saw it as a way to gain control over other nations. They started arming their soldiers with the new technology, creating military forces unlike anything the world had ever seen. Others, however, wanted to use the device to help humanity. They believed that with this power, humanity could solve its biggest problems, like hunger, poverty, and pollution. As the world's armies grew stronger, so did the tension. Some countries became worried. They feared that the balance of power had shifted too much. The idea of a single nation, or even a group of nations, holding the power of the device was terrifying. What if one nation decided to use this new power to take over the world? What if one person, with the power to control this technology, decided to become a dictator? Meanwhile, Emily and her team continued to study the device. They learned that it wasn't just giving people physical strength or intelligence. It was also connecting them to something much bigger. The more they used the device, the more people began to feel a strange sense of unity, as if they were all connected. It was like their minds and bodies were being linked together. Ideas began to spread faster than ever before, and people started working together in ways that had never been seen before in history. The world was changing, but not everyone was ready for what was coming. Some people who had once lived in poverty were now finding that they had the same abilities as the richest and most powerful people on Earth. There was a sense of hope among many, but also a feeling of fear. What would happen if everyone on Earth had the power of the device? Would the world be a better place, or a more dangerous one? It wasn't long before the Galactic Council took notice. The once peaceful aliens who had ruled the galaxy from the shadows were now watching Earth with fear and suspicion. They saw the power humans now wielded, and they knew it could be dangerous. The Council, which had always been in control of the galaxy, had kept a tight grip on power for centuries. But now, a species they once considered weak was rising up, gaining power faster than any civilization before it, and that terrified them. Back on Earth, Emily and her team knew they couldn't keep the device a secret forever. It was too powerful. Soon, the entire world would know. But what would happen when everyone knew? What would the Galactic Council do when they realized that humanity had the power to challenge their rule? As humans grew stronger, they became more aware of the changes happening around them. The world was no longer the same. The power of the alien device had not only changed them physically, it had changed the way they saw themselves. They were no longer just humans. They were something more. And with that power, they were ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw at them. The world had changed in ways no one could have imagined. Thanks to the alien device, humanity had become stronger, smarter, and more powerful. Nations had transformed into superpowers, and their armies, fueled by the strange energy of the device, seemed unstoppable. But with this new strength came a new sense of purpose. Earth was no longer content with being a small, powerless planet in the vast galaxy. The government of Earth, now united under a single banner, decided it was time to send a message to the Galactic Council. For centuries, the Council had controlled the galaxy, keeping peace through force and fear. But now, Earth had something no one else had: the power to stand up to the Council, and they weren't afraid to use it. Emily Carter, the scientist who had unlocked the secret of the alien device, was once again at the center of the world's attention. She had become a symbol of hope and strength for all of humanity. She was chosen to deliver the message that would change everything. It wasn't going to be an easy task. The Galactic Council had never known Earth's leaders to be anything but weak and powerless. They didn't take small planets seriously, and they certainly didn't believe that humanity had the power to challenge their rule. But Emily knew better. With the strength of the alien technology behind her, she had faith that Earth could do anything. The world watched as Emily stood before the media in a grand, open stadium. She was calm, collected, but there was a fire in her eyes. She was ready for what was coming next. "We are no longer the planet you once ignored," she said, her voice clear and steady. "We have awakened a power that you cannot understand. And now we stand as equals. No longer will we bow to your rule. No longer will we be your subjects." The words were bold, and the world felt them. Every person on Earth, whether they agreed or not, knew that this moment would be remembered for the rest of history. It was the beginning of a new era, a new Earth. But the message wasn't just for Earth's people. It was for the Galactic Council. The transmission was sent through the stars, directly to the heart of the Council's power. No one had ever dared send such a message before. The people of Earth knew that their survival depended on it. They had to be heard, and they had to be taken seriously. The message was simple. Earth was no longer a planet to be ignored. Earth would not be bullied. Earth would not be controlled. And the Council needed to understand that. "Consider this a warning," Emily continued, her voice gaining strength. "You have two choices. You can come to Earth and try to crush us, or you can leave us alone. If you choose to fight, we will fight back with everything we have. We are no longer weak. We are no longer afraid." The transmission ended. The world held its breath, waiting for a response. Emily stepped back from the podium, feeling the weight of what she had just done. There was no turning back now. The message had been sent. Now, the Council would decide what to do. On the other side of the galaxy, the Galactic Council was watching. They had received the message loud and clear. At first, they didn't know how to respond. They had never seen a species rise up so quickly, so unexpectedly. The humans, once nothing more than a speck on the map of the galaxy, were now a threat, and that terrified the Council. The Council was made up of many different species, each with its own history, its own power, and its own agenda. But they had all agreed on one thing: no species could challenge the authority of the Council and survive. They had crushed rebellions before, and they would do it again. But this time was different. The humans had technology unlike anything they had ever seen. It was powerful, and it was unpredictable. "The humans have made a dangerous mistake," said Sailor, one of the Council leaders, his voice filled with anger. "They think they can defy us. They think they are stronger than us." "I agree," said another leader, Zorath, "but we cannot underestimate them. They have something we don't fully understand. If we strike now, it might backfire. We must tread carefully." The Council members argued for hours. Some were ready to send their fleets to Earth immediately, while others wanted to take a more cautious approach. In the end, they agreed that Earth was a problem they could no longer ignore. But how to handle it? That was the question. Back on Earth, Emily and the world waited. The message had been sent, but the outcome was uncertain. Would the Council strike, or would they back down? No one knew for sure, but one thing was certain: Earth was no longer the small, forgotten planet it once was. The bold message had been heard across the galaxy. Now, the next chapter of humanity's story would unfold. Whether they would be crushed or survive would depend on what the Galactic Council decided to do next. But Earth had one thing on its side: it wasn't afraid anymore. The Galactic Council had received Earth's bold message loud and clear. The people of Earth had spoken, and now the galaxy was waiting to see what would happen next. Would the Council attack, or would they try to ignore the challenge? Days passed, but the Council's response was slow. Earth's leaders knew they couldn't wait forever. The new technology had made humanity stronger, but strength alone wasn't enough. If Earth was going to survive, it needed to show the Council just how powerful humans had become. It was Emily Carter, the brilliant scientist behind the discovery of the alien device, who came up with the idea. The world had seen the device's effect on individual humans, but they hadn't seen the true power of humanity united. Emily knew that showing the Council the full strength of Earth's people was the only way to make them understand. The plan was simple but bold. They would demonstrate the power of Earth's new warriors. The world's strongest soldiers, all enhanced by the alien technology, would gather in one place. They would perform feats of strength, speed, and intelligence that would make even the most powerful beings in the galaxy take notice. Emily worked with world leaders to organize the event. It would be broadcast to every corner of the planet and beyond. Every news channel, every communications network would carry the broadcast. It was not just a message to Earth's people, but to the Galactic Council itself. The day of the demonstration arrived, and millions of people gathered in the massive stadium built for the event. On the giant screens, viewers could see the greatest human warriors standing in formation. These were not ordinary soldiers. These were humans who had been transformed by the alien device, their strength and abilities pushed to the limit. The first part of the demonstration was a test of physical strength. A giant rock, far too heavy for any human to lift before the discovery, was placed in the center of the arena. It weighed hundreds of tons, but the humans enhanced by the alien technology approached it with confidence. One by one, they stepped up, and without hesitation, They lifted the rock, tossing it aside like it was nothing more than a pebble. The crowd gasped in amazement. The soldiers didn't just move it. They made it look easy. Then came speed. Several soldiers lined up to race across the arena, and within seconds, they were off. They moved faster than any human had ever moved before, reaching speeds that were impossible just months ago. The crowd watched in awe as they zoomed around the arena, their legs a blur of motion. They finished the race in record time, leaving even the fastest athletes in the world far behind. It was a performance that would have made even the fastest alien species nervous. The third part of the demonstration was mental strength. While Earth's warriors had grown stronger physically, they had also become smarter, quicker, and more strategic. A series of complex puzzles were set up on the field. The puzzles required not just intelligence, but also the ability to think quickly and solve problems under pressure. The enhanced humans worked together, solving the puzzles in record time. It was clear that their minds were working faster than ever before, making decisions with an efficiency that had never been seen in human history. Then came the final test, a simulated battle. Thousands of soldiers, all enhanced by the alien technology, stood ready to face an opponent. This was the moment that would prove to the Galactic Council that Earth was no longer a weak planet. The soldiers were organized, disciplined, and ready. The mock battle began, and within minutes, the soldiers moved as one, using their enhanced abilities to outmaneuver and outsmart their simulated enemies. The enemy forces, though powerful in their own right, stood no chance against the new human warriors. Earth's soldiers fought as if they had been trained for years, their coordination and skill unmatched. As the battle ended, the crowd erupted in cheers. This was the moment the world had been waiting for. Humans had shown their power, and it was clear. Earth was not a planet to be ignored anymore. The Galactic Council had to understand that they were dealing with a species that could not be easily defeated. But Emily and the leaders of Earth knew that showing the world wasn't enough. The Council had to see this with their own eyes. The entire event had been broadcast to space, and now it was time for the galaxy to respond. The message had been sent. The power of humanity was now on display for all to see. No one could deny it anymore. Back in the heart of the Galactic Council, the leaders were watching. Sealer, the leader who had once dismissed the humans as insignificant, was now silent. He couldn't believe his eyes. What had once seemed like a small, weak species was now a force to be reckoned with. "This changes everything," Sealer said quietly, turning to the other members of the council. "We can no longer ignore them. We must decide what to do." Zorath, another leader, spoke up. "We underestimated them. But now we know. They are no longer the weak species we thought they were." The council was divided. Some members still wanted to take action, to crush the human rebellion before it could grow stronger. Others were more cautious, recognizing that Earth's power had increased too quickly for them to ignore. They couldn't risk making an enemy of a species that was now this powerful. For Earth, the message had been delivered. The world knew that humanity had shown its strength. And now, the Galactic Council had a choice to make. Would they take action against Earth, or would they recognize humanity as a force to be reckoned with? The power of the human race was clear, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The demonstration of Earth's strength had shaken the galaxy. The Galactic Council could no longer deny the power humanity had gained. What had once been a small, overlooked planet had now become a serious threat to their rule. The message was clear. Earth was no longer weak. But the Council had made its decision. The leaders of the Galactic Council met in secret. They had watched the broadcast of Earth's powerful soldiers, and it had scared them. No species in the galaxy had ever risen to power so quickly, and no one had ever dared challenge the Council so boldly. "We cannot let this continue," said Sealer, his voice filled with anger. "If we allow Earth to grow stronger, it will become impossible to control. We must act now before it's too late." Zorath, another leader, nodded. "They think they can threaten us. They think they are ready for war, but they don't understand the full power of the Council. We have fleets, weapons, and armies that far exceed anything Earth has. We will crush them before they become too much of a problem. The Council agreed. Earth had to be stopped before it became a threat to their control of the galaxy. And so they made their move. The first step was a swift and overwhelming attack. The Council sent a massive fleet to Earth's solar system, ships that outnumbered anything humanity had ever seen. These ships were armed with weapons far more powerful than anything the humans had. The Galactic Council wasn't going to waste time with diplomacy. They wanted to send a clear message: defy the Council, and you will pay the price. As the fleet approached Earth, the people on the planet had no idea what was coming. Emily Carter, who had helped lead the charge for Earth's new strength, was in her lab when the alarm went off. It was a signal of an incoming threat. She rushed to the control room, her heart racing. "What is it?" she asked, her voice shaking. A technician looked up from his console. "It's the Galactic Council. Their fleet is heading straight for Earth." Emily's mind raced. This was what they had feared, but also expected. The Council wouldn't let Earth's challenge go unanswered, but they weren't ready to give up. Not now. She quickly contacted the leaders of Earth's united government. "We need to prepare. We need to fight." The leaders quickly gathered, and the Earth Defense Forces went into action. The soldiers who had been trained and enhanced by the alien device were ready. They had shown their strength before, but this time, the stakes were higher. The fate of Earth was at risk. They couldn't afford to lose. The massive fleet of the Galactic Council arrived, blocking the view of the sun. It was like a dark shadow cast over the Earth. The ships were huge, their weapons glowing with destructive energy. The Council was ready for battle. On Earth, the enhanced soldiers were already in position. They knew the time had come to show the full extent of their strength. The military had developed new weapons and defenses powered by the alien technology. Earth's warships were ready to defend the planet, and they would not back down. The first shots were fired. The Galactic Council's fleet unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, aimed at Earth's defenses, but Earth's ships fought back with everything they had. The enhanced soldiers on the ground were ready too, defending key locations and fighting off any enemy forces that tried to land. The battle was fierce, but Earth was holding its ground. The Council's fleet was powerful, but they didn't anticipate the level of resistance Earth could provide. The new human technology, combined with the enhancements of their soldiers, made them stronger than the Council had ever expected. On the battlefield, Earth's forces fought with determination. The soldiers used the alien technology to outthink and outfight their enemies. They moved with speed, precision, and strength, turning the tide of the battle. The Council's fleet had never faced anything like it before. However, the Council wasn't going to give up so easily. They sent in reinforcements, more ships, and more weapons. The battle grew even more intense. The sky above Earth was filled with explosions, laser blasts, and fire as the two sides clashed. The fate of the planet hung in the balance. Emily watched from her command center as the battle raged. She knew this was only the beginning. Earth had proven it could stand up to the Council's forces, but the fight wasn't over yet. The Council wouldn't give up until they had crushed Earth's resistance. She could feel the weight of the moment. "This is it," Emily said to her team. "We need to keep fighting. We need to show them that Earth won't be defeated." And so, the battle raged on. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth's strength, but even with all their power and resources, they couldn't break humanity's resolve. The Council had struck first, but Earth wasn't backing down. The fight for Earth's future had begun. The galaxy would watch as the battle between Earth and the Galactic Council unfolded. Would Earth's new power be enough to stop the Council's wrath, or would the Council's might prove too much to overcome? Only time would tell. The battle between Earth and the Galactic Council had raged for days, but Earth's soldiers refused to give up. Despite the overwhelming power of the Council's fleet, humanity's resolve had only grown stronger. The Galactic Council's massive ships, armed with powerful weapons, had been unable to crush Earth's defenses. The fight was far from over, but Earth had shown that it was a force to be reckoned with. As the days passed, the people of Earth began to realize something. They weren't just defending their planet, they were taking control. The Council had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, but now they were struggling to hold their ground. The alien technology that had once been a secret was now Earth's greatest weapon. It had made their soldiers stronger, faster, and smarter than any enemy they had faced. Emily Carter, the scientist who had unlocked the secrets of the alien device, stood in front of the global leaders. The battle was still ongoing, but they could already see the tide turning in Earth's favor. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity, and now it was time for Earth to take control. "We've shown them our strength," Emily said. "Now we need to make sure the Council knows they cannot defeat us. We must push forward, not just defend." The leaders of Earth agreed. They had no choice but to take control. The Council had attacked their planet, but Earth had fought back. The next step was to strike hard and show the galaxy that humanity was not a species to be ignored. The military leaders began organizing a bold counteroffensive. The Galactic Council had come to Earth with an army, but Earth had something stronger: the power of unity. Humanity's enhanced soldiers fought as one, coordinated and focused. Their strength had grown with every battle, and now they were ready to strike back. Earth's fleets launched from the planet's surface, joining the fight in space. The alien technology had allowed Earth to build ships that could stand against the Council's fleet. They were smaller, faster, and more agile than the massive ships the Council had sent. These ships were armed with energy weapons, but their true strength lay in their speed and agility. They darted through the sky, taking the fight to the Council's forces. In the heart of space, the battle reached new heights. Earth's forces attacked from all directions, using their enhanced abilities to outmaneuver and outsmart the Council's soldiers. The Council had brought reinforcements, but they were not prepared for Earth's soldiers, who fought with speed and intelligence that made them difficult to defeat. The first major victory for Earth came when a group of Earth's warships managed to disable one of the largest ships in the Council's fleet. The ship was massive, almost the size of a small moon, and it had been the flagship of the Council's forces. But Earth's ships, using their speed and enhanced weapons, launched a surprise attack and managed to take it down. The victory sent shockwaves through the Council. They had never expected Earth to be capable of such a thing. The Council, desperate to regain control, sent in more powerful ships. But they were too late. The humans were now in full control of the skies. Every battle they fought was won with precision and strength. Earth's forces were unstoppable. On the ground, the soldiers fought with the same intensity. The enhanced humans used their abilities to push back the Council's forces. No longer were they the underdogs. Earth's soldiers knew that they were fighting not just for survival, but for the future of their planet. As the Galactic Council's fleet continued to fall, Earth's soldiers began to take control of key strategic positions. They disabled the enemy's communication systems, cutting off the Council's ability to coordinate their forces. One by one, the ships of the Galactic Council were destroyed or captured. The battle raged for hours, but Earth's forces were relentless. They pushed the Council back, reclaiming every inch of space they had lost. Soon, it became clear to the Council that they had no chance of winning. Earth had taken control. Emily stood in the command center, watching the live feed of the battle. It was almost over. Earth had won. The Galactic Council's fleet was in full retreat. The once great power that had ruled over the galaxy for so long was now on the run. The leaders of Earth gathered in the war room. The victory was theirs, but they knew the war was far from over. They had won this battle, but the Council wouldn't give up so easily. Still, Earth had proven something. Humanity was no longer the weak species they had once been. They had taken control of their own destiny. "This is only the beginning," Emily said, her voice steady and confident. "The Galactic Council may retreat for now, but we have shown them what we are capable of. We will not stop until we take control of our future." The leaders agreed. Earth had proven its strength, and now the galaxy knew that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The Council might have struck first, but Earth had struck back, and now it was Earth's turn to lead the galaxy. The victory was not just about power, it was about the spirit of humanity. They had fought for their planet, for their people, and for their future, and now the galaxy would have to face the reality. Earth had taken control. The battle was over. Earth had won. The once mighty Galactic Council, shaken by humanity's unexpected strength, had retreated. Their fleets, once thought invincible, lay shattered in space, scattered across the galaxy. The Council's leaders, who had once believed they controlled everything, now found themselves on the defensive. The people of Earth stood united, their hearts filled with pride. They had faced an enemy that seemed impossible to defeat and emerged victorious. But victory was only the beginning. Now, humanity had to decide what came next. In the war room of Earth's Central Command, the leaders gathered. The once divided nations of Earth had come together, united under the banner of a new world order. The war had forced them to put aside their differences, and now they were stronger than ever. Emily Carter stood at the front, her eyes scanning the faces of the leaders. She had seen the power of the alien technology, had helped lead humanity to this moment. And now she knew that the real challenge was ahead. "We've won, but this is only the start of a new era," she said, her voice filled with determination. "We've proven our strength, but now we must prove our wisdom," she continued. "We can't just take control of the galaxy for ourselves. We have to lead with honor. We must show the galaxy that humanity is not just strong, it is just." The leaders of Earth nodded in agreement. They had seen how humanity's strength had brought them to this point, but they understood that power alone was not enough to lead the galaxy. If they were going to build a future for their children and their grandchildren, they would have to be wise, fair, and united. The people of Earth had watched the battles unfold from every corner of the planet. They had seen their soldiers, enhanced by alien technology, fight with courage and strength. Now, they stood in awe of what their world had become. Earth had not just survived, the planet had thrived. But now, the question was, what would Earth do with its newfound power? Would they rule with an iron fist, like the Galactic Council had, or would they seek a better path? Emily knew the answer. Earth's power was not just for domination. It was for creating a better future, a future where peace and cooperation would rule. "We must offer the galaxy a choice," Emily said. "We can either continue to fight and destroy each other, or we can join together in peace and build something greater." Earth has learned that strength alone is not enough. It is unity, wisdom, and understanding that will lead us into a new era. The leaders listened closely. They understood the weight of Emily's words. They had seen how war had torn the galaxy apart, how the Galactic Council had crushed entire civilizations for the sake of power. They didn't want Earth to follow that path. "We will send a message to the galaxy," one of the leaders said. "We will invite the species of the galaxy to join us in a new alliance, a new age of cooperation and progress. We will show them that humanity's strength is not a weapon for oppression. It is a tool for building a brighter future." And so the message was sent. Earth's forces, now stronger than ever, traveled through space, reaching out to the farthest corners of the galaxy. They offered peace, but they also made it clear that humanity would no longer tolerate oppression. They would not allow any species to rule over another. Instead, Earth would be the foundation of a new era, an era where all civilizations, big and small, could live together in harmony. As the message spread across the galaxy, something incredible happened. The galaxy, which had long been divided and ruled by the Galactic Council's power, began to change. Species that had once feared humanity now looked at them with respect. The strength of Earth's forces had won their admiration, but it was the message of peace and unity that won their trust. In the months that followed, new alliances were formed. Species that had once fought each other now stood side by side, working together to rebuild the galaxy. Earth's technology, once a secret, was now shared with other civilizations, helping them grow and advance. Humanity became a leader, not through force, but through wisdom and understanding. Emily stood on the balcony of Earth's new capital, looking out over a world at peace. The stars above seemed brighter than ever, a symbol of the new era that had begun. The war was over, and now, Earth had become a beacon of hope for the galaxy. This is just the beginning, Emily thought, a smile on her face. The galaxy is changing, and humanity is leading the way. We've shown the universe that we are strong, but we've also shown them that we can be wise. This is our time. The new era had begun, and Earth was ready to lead.